myself, look, what's I like? I've got 2 balls, 2 rings. I'll just get another one of these big ones. What's that? Oh, what do you need, Jane? You can have
Thing you've got.
Yes, as soon as I've got 2. All right, so morning and welcome if you're here with us in the studio or on catch up at home. And we use the ball to warm up on. Everybody's been at my class. You've been at this Pilates class, haven't you? Yes, just one. Yeah, okay. So some of you are quite new, that's okay. So clearly go at your own pace. Particularly if those 2 of you are very new to the class. You're a bit squeaky today, aren't you? Sorry. I'm not sure it's not your joints.
That would be a problem.
That would be a problem. Anyway, so clearly if you're new, I'd like you to just very much go at your own pace. You're not sure, just watch. You should never feel any competition or that you feel obliged to do anything. Some people are quite experienced on the ball and you want to perhaps work a bit harder, that's fine. You know that there are options with your bouncing. You can start to lift your legs, you can punch or do whatever you feel good. If you're quite new, just keep it steady. We obviously want you to stay on the ball and be safe. But straight away, without you even thinking about it, your pelvic floor is lifting and your navel comes into your spine and you find your natural curve. So that's really important. As those core muscles, those internal muscles are firing up straight away. Okay, so you choose how strong you want to make your bounce. And if you're cold or just feeling energized, you don't want to make it stronger. And you can do this sort of thing. Bring with one arm and leg and out, or both together. So these are all options. And you now be careful, Jane, it's too much for you. That's too much. Don't want you to bounce. You don't want to be doing that. That's dangerous. So I want you, please, because you're new for it, I want you to just bounce gently and just relax. Yeah, okay. So I definitely don't want you to bounce off the ball. So that is your responsibility, ladies. I've said it about 3 times, and yet I still find people go, always listen. Please be sensible. Okay, we love you to use the ball, but within safe parameters. Let's circle round. And the other thing, ladies, I do very much encourage you to sit on a ball at home as opposed to a chair. If you're at your desk, your computer, sit on a ball. If you find that's too inconvenient, then you've got the option of those stability cushions, but which also you can stand on, of course. So we're just circling around now, loosening into the lower back and the hips, and just feeling into your back. Is there anything in particular I should know about today, ladies, that I don't know about? Any injuries that have changed or any particular tension? Okay. So make a C-shaped curve. So pull up your pelvic floor, draw your navel back to your spine. Scoop and hollow. And you're finding that C-shaped curve. So clearly we're just starting to loosen everything now. And so what we'll be doing is I'll do our usual warm-ups and a few strength exercises. And then we're going to be doing our pelvic floor, but we're using these power rings today. So if you're watching at home, and you know the ladies who are at home have all been to the studios, they know the power rings, you'll have to use weights instead. And we're going to use those to strengthen not only our, what we call our global muscles, the big muscles around your pelvis, but also the upper body, also very good for shoulders. But I'll explain that when we come to it. Okay, so let's everybody lift tall. And if you find you're slumping, I'd like you to go back to bouncing again. So if you find you're doing this, the easiest way for everybody is just to do 2 bounces, because that, as we know, pauses in and out. So let's bring the arms from the side now, and imagine you're trying to touch the ceiling. And we come to the breath. I want you to really stretch up, and perhaps if you're confident on the ball, you know what's happening, you can close your eyes. And I'd like you to notice where you're feeling this stretch. Is it just in your arms and shoulders, or are you actually able to feel it right down into your lower back? And that's ideally where you want to be feeling it, because you're working these big long muscles now that run up and down your spine. It needs to be felt right from the lower back, not just from the upper back. And each time you stretch up, it's the breath out. Good. So interlace the hands, push the heels of the hands up, keep stretching. As long as you don't have any neck issues, you can look up. Keep breathing, feel that length. Allow the arms to come down slowly. And move into floating arms. So this is all to help the shoulders pattern. Short, you will be strengthening the shoulders with power arms. So we breathe in. And also at this point of class, you're really focusing on calming the breath, slowing it down. And as a result, what will happen is your mind will start to quieten as well. Your body will start to quieten, and then the mind will follow suit. If you're confident on the ball, close your eyes. And just notice the upper back, the shoulders, what's going on. And we've got one more coming up. Good. So lifting as tall as you can, coming to a side stretch. If you're more experienced on the ball, you may want to lift a heel. This is not for beginners, lifting the heel, just those of you who are more experienced. Good. And then hold on to the top wrist. And I'd like you to draw on that top wrist. And imagine your back's against a wall, so no leaning forwards. And feel the stretch all through the side ribs, right down into the hip. And then breathe into it. So we use our breath, we learn to soften, surrender into that pose. Lift back up again, other side. And then allow the arms to slowly float down. As the arms float down, we have the intention to sit tall. Good. Rotation. Exhale to twist. Into the center. Exhale. One more to each side and hold this side now. And again, with your breath, just see if you're able to deepen the stretch. Notice where you may have some discomfort, tightness, and use your breath to breathe into that space. Come back to center and the other direction. Again, we come back to center, put the elbows on the waist and open the arms, dumb waiters. So you'll find the warm-ups pretty similar, at least the way James and I teach, because there are certain moves you need in your warm-up to clearly warm up, but also to ensure that all the muscles have been aligned as best as we can in the warm-up. So place your tongue at fire point and allow your chin to come to your chest. In fact, you don't need to wait for me to tell you to place your tongue at fire point. We recommend you do that in daily life, other than when eating or speaking. Because of course it relaxes your jaw and you unclench your teeth, and what's more, you direct energy inwards, prana. So we look now from side to side. 3 and 4 you'll hold, and again with your breath, could you go that bit further? Nice and steady, there's no force. Now don't move your shoulders, ladies. Your shoulders and your torso is pointing forward. Once you start to twist your shoulders, you're actually not working your neck so much. Yeah, so just a couple of you rotating more from your shoulders as opposed to isolating your neck. But look as far as you can. Can you see the back of the room? Can you see behind your shoulder? If you can't, you have restriction in your neck. Okay, and I can see a couple of you are still slightly twisting, like so. So you let your shoulder go with you. Your pelvis and everything needs to point forward. So again, just be observant of that. Is it moving? Is it not? Lift up, let your head drop to one side. Again, find your breath. And begin to turn your head very slowly in one direction. Go the other way. Leave your head hanging here. Bring your head to your forward diagonal and nod your head. Find the point of most discomfort. Leave your head there. Rotate your nose towards your armpits. And again, it can be helpful to take some small micro movements to release into the neck. Take the hand to the back of the head and gently and mindfully move your head around. And then rotate your nose towards your armpits again. And usually that gives you a really good stretch, not just into your neck, but your shoulders as well. And again, just observe it. Is it really tight? Is it uncomfy? If it is, do something before it becomes chronic. It's going to get much harder to put right if we leave things to the really chronic. Okay, lift up. Take a moment to nod your head, free it up, lift tall, ear to shoulder. And again, I really encourage you to, you're not changing the position of your torso, you're just dropping your head back to really relax into it and use your breath. Turn your head. As you become more experienced in your class, you'll find it's a very subtle art. Leave your head hanging to one side and then come to your diagonal. So move your head around, your nose to armpit. It's a subtle art to know how to relax muscles while the other ones are engaged as much as they need to be. People often can't distinguish that when they're first new to exercise or more connected to their body. So right now your core muscles are just holding themselves as they should. You're not in any way slumping, but you're aiming to relax your neck, your face, your jaw as much as you can to get the benefit from this position. And then your hand can go to the back of your head and you can just do these very small movements around till you find the point where you know you need to stretch the most and then hold that posture. Sit up, drop the shoulders, take hold of the base of your neck and create some length, looking up, opening your chest, keep breathing. Without hunching, it's simply the head drops down, drop your head down, massage your neck, shoulders wherever you can reach and firmly. Maybe nod your head at the same time. Good. Okay, so we come to our roll downs. Roll downs are fine unless you have osteoporosis, which is more progressed, or you have a disc out. What did Jerry say to you, Sarah, about your, does he think your discs have gone back in place yet or not?
No, he said it won't change, but the exercise will help and that.
Right, okay. So he still thinks you've got some discs which are protruding?
Yes.
Right, okay. In that case, no roll downs.
Yeah.
Okay, so shoulders back and down, chin retracts. Soft peak shape here. Bend your ball between your knees, again, all to help with the alignment. And begin to roll down. Breathe in at the bottom, pelvic floor lifts, hollow, re-stack your spine. What you can do, Sarah, when you had a break over Christmas, obviously, and all the rest, but when you've been coming maybe another month or so, and if you're as regular as you've been this week, we'll start to do roll downs, but not all the way down.
Yes.
We'll just go, but just at the moment I don't need to do it. Okay. So we're taking what we call a Pilates roll down. It's nice and slow, steady, calm. And when you come up, you take a moment to stand up, think of your posture, shoulders back, chin retracts. So you can bend your knees as much as you need to. At the bottom, you take a full breath in, pelvic floor lifts, so think of that pelvic floor, draw your navel to your spine and roll up. So if you're not very strong yet, you're having issues with whatever, you're new, your pelvic floor will not be firing up properly. This is why we need to remind ourselves, pelvic floor lifts, hollow, and restart. Now when we start to do our pelvic floor exercises daily, the pelvic floor will stay lifted at its proper and its most effective way in daily life if you don't slump. The minute you slump, put on weight, have poor posture, then everything starts to, as you can, you know what happens when we have poor posture. We all sort of, we don't have a nice shape because we're all hunched and rounded. So when you come back up again, I'd like you to grow tall again. And for a moment, just again to make sure you're engaging your core muscles properly, pull up your pelvic floor. I'll come to it in more depth. Put your hands on your stomach and your hands in your lower back. And just notice how you're standing. Are you slumping? We'll actually look at this more when we come to the powering. And in time, your corset muscles, these are your deep muscles, they will hold you with good posture. So we have to remind ourselves at this stage. So we're going to keep them, even if you're not, I find I still have to think about it, and be conscious. So we come into a deep squat, we roll the shoulders back and down, that's called scapular squeeze, and we lift up. But my point really is that it will become a natural habit to have good posture as you strengthen yourself and as you learn to be calm as well, because poor posture also comes from anxiety and stress and not breathing well. So that once you learn to do all these things and can harmonise them, your whole body, your whole demeanour will change, but it takes practice. So we don't want to have any arches in your back. We don't want to have a natural curve here. We don't want to be hunched. We want to have what we call neutral. When you come up, you want to have your stomach pulled in and out and all your muscles working as a corset. And that corset needs to be approximately 30% lifted. So if you think of what a corset can do, obviously it can be very tight, like the Victorian ladies, that would be not good. But neither do we want it to be too slack. It needs to be about 30% of your core engagement. And that's the engagement we're looking for in daily life. And I will be able to tell, if you're wearing something fitted and where you're standing, I will be able to tell, what your core muscles are doing to a degree, because it's where you hold yourself. All right, let's finish off that one then. And let's come to some like downhill skiing. So stretching from your crown to your tailbone, squeezing the shoulders back and down, and coming to a rise up now. Find your balance. You can close your eyes if you feel balance. Otherwise, keep them open. Okay, that big ball. You get the big ball out now. Again, you do not have to go back on the large ball until you are confident on the ball and you are able to do it safely. So if you're new at this, first of all, I need to Jane, that ball's very large for me. Let me swap what a ball with it. It's a little bit too big. This one needs a bit more air in, actually. It's a new one. It's not fully pumped out. Just ask you to hold that one for a moment. So what I'd like you to do, ladies, you've all got to start to do this, okay, before you go back. In other words, you walk yourself forward, your lower back's on the ball, and your head's forward. If you're not able to do that, that's okay. It's just because you're not strong enough. Again, those of you who know what's coming up, please feel free to go ahead. And you're going to use the ball to release the back. You need to be a little bit more forward. Yeah, a little bit more forward. So your lower back's on the ball, but not your bottom. Okay? So again, don't worry those of you who are new at it. What I would like to do is... What's that? Yes, well, I want you to just practice this tilting of the pelvis back and forward till you've got the strength. Those of you who know what you're doing, just carry on. Bring your head more forward, Val, because if you're in that position, I don't think you're quite ready for that, Jane, so I don't want you to do it. What I want you to do is just this at the moment. Just scooping and hollowing and pulling your tummy like you're doing a calf stretch. Val, you're like this. That will stress your neck like mad, so I want you to pull your head forward like you're sitting on a stool. You're doing a crunch. So again, if your stomach muscles aren't very strong, you're not going to be able to do that yet. Okay, so you two ladies, don't go any further. The rest of the class, in fact, if you come to sit back up again, Val, and as well, Jane, you can do your shoulder circles and just sitting up on the ball, please. So you're going to do your backward circles with your shoulders. Those of you who are more flexible and know what you're doing, you can come into straighter arms. And what you're trying to do, ladies, you're reaching for the floor. And as we exhale, we go a little bit deeper each time. You inhale, bring down the knees, bring the hands to the legs. Exhale, go deeper. And if you're on the right size ball for you, again, it was a bit big for me today, you might be able to take your hands to the floor, in which case you can go into flat palms on the floor if you can do that, if you've got the flexibility. And even start to heel, peel or leg raise. But you must have your palms flat on the floor to do that, and you must have confidence and be good, have a good core. Otherwise it's not safe for us. So we put the hands to the back of the head now, everybody, and bring ourselves up and come forwards over the ball. So we can all do this. So I'd like us to hug the ball. Head goes one side and gently rock from side to side. Again, don't rock if it makes you feel dizzy. I'm not sure if you have any in class here today. Oh, no, I don't think so. Make that dizzy. You've got a couple do that, a bit queasy on the ball. Then head the other way. And then hang fully forward. Put your hands to the mat. Rock your head down. Give your head a little bit to the nod. You can release that neck. Again, don't take your feet off the floor until you know you feel balanced on the ball, and put one arm on top of the other and swing your legs from side to side. So keep the feet on the floor if you you're new to this. Otherwise, taking these traction movements, switch one leg for the other, and swing. And then the final section in the sequence is to, don't try and sit on the ball, squat. So you come to a squat and just push the ball against your legs like that, and put your tummy on the ball. So ideally you have your feet on the floor. Again, if you're a little bit tight in your groin, you may find you can't get your legs around the ball easily yet. And you're going to use your rolling pin, or you're going to get your knuckles and you're going to massage. So you're going to really get into any uncomfy spots with the rolling pins. Again, I do like you to, in your case file, just be on your knees and just widen your legs as much as you can. I want you to roll. Yeah. So again, you'll see it with Pelvic saying these things. And again, I'm sure you'll find if you see some of the therapists, they will be asking you to do similar. All right. That's it. You don't have to sit on it, just come up it, go it, just stand up and just do this. Just go here and just do this. Oh, yes, that's it, And then it gives you a good stretch, you see, in the lower back. All right, lovely. So I don't think we'll work with the ball anymore today. I think we'll put it away. We've got some equipment out, so if you wouldn't mind. I know, well, maybe do it at the end because we have to spray them really before we put them away. So if you want to have a quick spray and put it away, or you can do that at the end, that's fine. Just get it out of your way, whatever. Yeah, so if it's more convenient for you to do it now, that's fine. If it's not, we'll do it at the end, whatever, don't mind. And when you're ready, you're going to come back to standing with, you're going to use your bendy ball, and you're going to use your powering. So these circular things have got two names, actually three names. You might hear them referred to as powerings, isotoners, or magic circles. So maybe we call it magic circle. I like that name better. So you're going to have some magic in the class now. You're going to have magically get strong pelvic floors and strong legs. I like that. So let's hold the powering in our hands. Okay. And if you'd like to put your bendy ball between your knees, because again it's helping us to use the muscles correctly in a line, and we're going to do some strength work. So this is actually very good for wrists. So this is another thing I could have suggested to you, Jane. You've been using your red band for your broken wrist, but this is another thing that works really well. And we're going to push against the powering at the same time we're squatting, and slowly release. Now that's important, squeezing on the way in and the slow release on the way out, because you're getting strength work as we push against the ring, but also as we release, and that's known as an isometric contraction. So that means that you're strengthening not just when you push inwards, but as long as you release slowly, and all the muscles and of course the bones are all strengthening. So we're going to squat. Now you don't have to push to your hardest. I want you to check that you're not over tensing your neck and your shoulders. And if you're at home, you could be doing something like this with your weights. Okay, similar idea. And you don't get with the weights, you don't get that resistance on the way in and on the way out. Okay, let's just do one more. Come into a deep squat, slide your shoulders down. How deep can you go into that position? Now notice, just keep squeezing, but keep breathing, don't hold your breath. Notice how that's all through your arms, probably into your elbows as well, and your shoulders. Good. So release, and take a moment to roll your shoulders. So you know in the warm-up we do floating arms. We're going to use floating arms to take the ring into the right position. So we float the arms out, rotate the shoulders in the sockets, the shoulders are down the back, that's it. And then take the ring above your head, and we don't want the elbows pointing inwards, so make sure, just turn around, you've rolled your shoulders back and down. So we don't want to play, I don't want you to start strengthening like this will just worsen everything. So shoulders back and down, remember we're squeezing, and you're going to squeeze on the powering and squat. So the elbows point to the side, but not because you just stuck the elbows out, because you've rotated your shoulders back in your socket. As you do this, don't shorten your neck. Some of you are sort of going in a bit like a tortoise. do that. So squatting. So, and some of us are really dropping our halos, so try not to drop your halo. That's what we said before. Might be the only halo you ever get, so enjoy it. And also what I can see, ladies, as you're squatting, some of you are you're coming into this rounded position. No, we don't want to do that. So think about what's happening in your shoulders. Now, I've had more than one student have their shoulders strapped back in place by Dr. Martin Spade, who is my medical advisor on the DVD I brought out a number of years ago now. And that's because no matter how much we practice with them, their lifestyle kept making them do this, and they'd be like this. And one of them was a therapist, actually, so it was hard for her to keep that posture. But you really need to keep those shoulders back, okay? And keep your neck long. All right, release. And the next exercise is particularly good for that. So if you have a habit of this, or your lifestyle means that you do this a lot, rather than going to have your shoulder strap, which is not a good experience because you've got all this horrible strapping on your shoulder, which has to stay there so your shoulders have learnt where to be. The first one, you just hold on the ring, like so, and you're going to try and lift your arms, but I'd like you to look into the mirror, because as you lift your arms, there's a tendency for people to do this or to do something like this. I don't want you to do that. So I want you to think, keep lengthening up, roll the shoulders and lift your arms as high as you can. Now they're not going to lift super high because I've asked you to, and keep your flat of your hand on the ring, please, not just your fingers, because it's your fingers, you can go much further. Okay. And if you'll notice you're quite here, then we know we need to do. Now, another habit, sorry, but I know it sounds a bit, I'm telling you every single thing, but it's important. Some of you have started to do this bit, okay, chin poking, so we don't want that either. So we bring the arms up, and now we squeeze on the ring, okay? And you'll feel this in your arms almost super quickly. Keep breathing. And I don't quite know why none of you are changing the shape of the ring. Not much happening, but you can feel it, can't you? Even though almost nobody changed the shape of the ring. We've only ever had a couple of the really muscular guys who have managed to do it, strong ones. But I bet you can really feel that in your triceps, can't you? Yeah, that's good, because your triceps, as we age, our triceps, these are your triceps, they can get quite slack, even if you're quite well toned. So release. So we don't want to develop, what did somebody call it? I thought it should mean to dinner ladies. You know, when you're waving, you start waving.
Bat wings.
Bat wings. And this part still keeps waving. Somebody told me we called dinner lady arms. I think that's really mean to dinner ladies. Bingo wings. So we don't want to develop that. Now this one is worse, but it's more effective. Put your hands on the inside of your ring and your palms point together, face forwards. Now again, you're going to lift your arms as high as you can, retract your chin. Now put your palms pointing inwards. I don't want you to push too hard because you could actually hurt yourself. Press outwards and keep breathing and just hold for about the count of 3 or 5, 3 to 4. Let's make it 5 actually, release. So breathe in. Exhale, keep breathing, press outwards, retract your chin, grow tall. Now, of course, what you can feel here, ladies, you're really strengthening, I hope you can anyway, you're strengthening these muscles here at the front, which get short and tight when we sit rounded. And these upper back muscles need to be strong to keep your shoulders down your back. Now, take your powering away. And all I want you to do, no, sorry, don't be powering, put your hands in the power and take the bendy ball away. And just walk round, okay? But with your arms in that position, I'm thinking of everything I've been saying about growing tall to the ceiling, chin retract. So look at yourself in the mirror as you go past and look in particular at your shoulders, okay? And where your neck is. Just, just have a look at yourself. Because you will see, I hope, turn your palms towards each other. That's it. And then go tall and just walk and relax your neck. And try and walk like normal people. Some of you started to walk like little Chinese ladies with bound feet. Like this. Try and walk normally. But bring your arms as high as you can. and keep breathing. And try not to normal. All right, come back to your place. Now, I'm sure you can feel why I've asked you to do that. Because just take your arms out of, you can hold your ring for a minute, and just stand with your eyes closed. And breathe. Now, no doubt you can feel your arms and your shoulders, you work them. But can you sense, ladies, that you're all standing taller now and that you're more open in your chest? Can you sense that? Yeah, okay. So the reason I ask you to do that, again, why? Because you want to feel it. You want to feel it in your physical body. I can tell you till I'm blue in the face, this is going to help. But until you do it and feel it, it's just going to be theory to you. Another interesting thing about the rings, we're going to squeeze quite strongly against it now. Now, ideally, you should just drop the ring. I don't want you to do that because obviously we break things or clatter, but that gives you the best result. So squeeze as hard as you can now, and then just relax your arms. And what will probably happen is your arms will float up. If you drop the ring, they would do that quite significantly. So this is called a PNF stretch, when you deliberately create resistance to release. It's used by physios and sports therapists, and you can use it on your legs and things. So if you are experiencing shoulder issues, and you don't have to do these things for very long, all you need to do is exactly as we do. We do a few squeezes, we do floating arms, a few squeezes, squeeze here and on the inside, and walk round. And instead of having your shoulder strap, just you can just leave it on your kitchen table and think, oh, I know I'm a bit round-shouldered, I just got to walk upstairs. Or if you need to hold on, obviously I might go onto the banister. I'm just going to use it, and that's a much better solution than having to wear this shoulder strap on a daily basis. So that's your upper body strength for it today. We'll take some stretching now. We'll do eagle that we're using yoga. So we put the right arm on top, left arm underneath, put your elbows together, one arm on top of the other, palms turn out, bring the palms towards each other, hold your hands if you can, push your arms away, keep breathing, and lift up. So your shoulders stay down, but you lift your arms. You'll feel a stretch in your upper and middle back. Anybody wants to add in the full eagle pose, you can wrap around and balance if you wish. But I've already focused on your your arms, and this about the legs. I'm not really teaching yoga class now, but why not? So that was your right arm on top, so left arm on top. Not everybody elbows meet, depending on the shape of your body. Top arms point out. Bring your hands together, hold your wrists, or your hands if you can. Push the elbows away, shoulders down, and feel that pull in your shoulders. Keep breathing. So you will then stand on your left if you'll stand on your right if you're opposite. Sorry, stand on your left, and you can wrap if you want. But I'm not too worried about that. It's another class. Okay, have a shake. Right, so let's see how we're doing for time. Right, let's come to the mat, and we'll do, let's do this. We'll do some starfish work first. So I'd like to do some lengthening, tractioning. Let's get our pressure mats if we've got them. Okay. You don't use a pressure mat, that's okay. You're very welcome to borrow this one if you really like to. So lie down, go nice and slowly down, bend the knees, feet parallel and hip width. And let's come to opposite arm and leg, nice and slowly. So you've got your basic starfish, opposite arm and leg, remembering your straight leg, your leg is in a straight line, exactly in line with your hip. You're aiming to get the back of the arm to the floor, so keep a slight bend in the arm. And the arm movement is reinforcing what you've been doing in previous exercises, in the sense that we're keeping the chest open, and that's why we want the arms to come to the mat. Anybody who knows what they're doing, carry on. So if you want to, I'm sure already have your legs in the air. The full version of this is double leg stretch, both arms, both legs, working your core. Now, when you're doing something like a double leg stretch, the double leg stretch is an advanced move. Some of you are trying to do an advanced move when you've only done one lesson or two lessons. That is not a good choice, okay? So I'd like you to stay at the level. You'll hear me talking the beginner, giving you the beginner exercises first. Stay at that level, if you're a beginner, because that's why I've told you, asked you to do that. So it's only when you know what you're doing that you start to do the more advanced versions, and you'll hear me say it like that. So just please take my advice on board. That's it. Opposite arm and leg, take your time. Okay, good. Right, lovely. Let's come to shoulder bridge now. Find your bendy ball again. Place it between your knees. And you're going to start your pelvic tilting. Right, so there's only a couple more on pressure mats. So let me learn this one. So lie down, bend your knees. Have your bendy ball between your knees. So again, you know why. So lie back down. Nice and slowly, go slowly, don't put your hands in it. Again, this is to help you with your balance, but also to help with pain and to help with alignment. So do some pelvic tilts, everybody, please. Right, now, last week if you were in class, we were looking at pelvic. Some people were doing pelvic tilts when we came to our pelvic floor exercises. You're not going to do a pelvic tilt when we do our pelvic floor exercises. We'll do those next, in fact, so you know the difference. Now you're deliberately pushing your lower back into the floor, put your ankles underneath your knees, that's it, put your hands on your side. And you're going to do a pelvic tilt, just push your back into the, that's it, and come back to neutral. And the neutral is your natural curve in your spine. Come back to neutral, natural, just return, yeah, relax. Carry on rising. Can you hear me? Okay, good. So come up, bone by bone, ladies, up onto your shoulders. Breathing in at the bottom and exhale to come up nice and slowly. And I'd like you to make sure, keep your head down, that you're coming up vertebra by vertebra. Inhale at the top, exhale to lower. Again, those of you who are experienced, add in your arms. Beginners, just keep your hands flat on the mat, please. So I want you to find each vertebra. Take your time. Work with your breath. Close your eyes if that helps you focus more. Good. Now, beginner stage you are. Intermediates on the next one, intermediates and more advanced ones. You can start some heel peels and leg raises. We were doing them yesterday, a couple of in class of them yesterday. I'll just recap. You won't need your green bendy ball for this. So you can hold onto your hips and begin to lift one heel at a time. And as you're lifting your foot, you don't want to be wobbling around in your pelvis. Your core muscles, those internal muscles, need to keep you stable. If you find you're wobbling and you're lifting your heel and you're dropping your bottom, you're simply not strong enough for that yet. The advanced version is to come fully up, start with heel peels, lift one leg, bring it up and down, and bring it in line with the bent knee. And then slowly put it down, but without your pelvis dropping. So if you want to go for the full version, the original version of this exercise, you can, but check out what I've said. So if your hips are dropping, not good. If you're twisting your pelvis and you're dropping, then that's not good. Okay. All right. So you can have a couple of goes at that. Now, the work you're currently doing is a classic and standard Pilates exercise. Shoulder bridge, very good for your back, recommend it daily, and all the rest, preferably on your prickle mat. Now we're going to look at how we isolate the pelvic floor. So, because some of you are very new, those of you who actually aren't new, could you just continue for, if you know what I'm going to say about the pelvic floor, just for a couple of minutes, just do something else. Just do maybe some single leg stretch or carry on with what you're doing, just so you feel, because I'm just going to give a little bit more explanation. So for those of you who are new to it, your pelvic floor muscles go from your pubic bone to your tailbone, and they should be like a firm and taut trampoline. So you all know what a trampoline is like. It's got some guide ropes on and it has a little bit of springing. Everybody's pelvic floor has some springing. If we've had children, ladies, when your baby's large and before it's born, it's like bouncing on your pelvic floor. can drop by about 2 inches. So your pelvic floor muscles are these, they should be like trampoline muscles. For ladies, we've got 3 openings, men of course got 2. Now, what we need to do is we need to isolate those muscles and pull them in and up. So while your good posture in Pilates is absolutely helping you, it's not enough on its own. So we're all going to do some pelvic floor exercises now. We're all going to lie down, and initially you're going to lie on the mat. If you've been coming to me quite regularly, the ladies who've been who are here the past couple of weeks, have any of you, where have you got to with your fast twitch muscle fibers? How many can you do? How many repetitions? Have you counted yet? Well,
They're much easier than doing the other ones.
right, well, we'll do our fast ones first because they're the easiest one. Easiest one. So lie back down if you would. But what I am going to say to you, actually, Marie's laying on her tummy, and that's a good idea. So you might even want to, for the your pelvic floor, to lie on your stomach, because what you don't want to do, ladies, we have to feel the muscles low down. If we're pulling in on our stomach and tightening, say we're doing, you know, when we're doing a plank, okay? When you're doing a plank, you are absolutely having to use more than 30% contraction to hold it. We don't want to do that. So you have a few choices. You can lie on your back, you can lie on your tummy, and if you lie on your tummy, you can have your toes in and heels out, because it stops you squeezing your bottom. You don't want to squeeze your bottom, because your big gluteal muscles, they're big global muscles, and they take over. So this is what was happening last week with a couple of our students. So lie down, I don't mind where you lie on your back or on your tummy.
Would you still use the mat if you're on your tummy?
Actually you can, you know, but you don't need to, yes. I would perhaps just, without the distraction of the mat, I would just get rid of it for the moment. So what we're going to do now, ladies, you're going to bend your knees and lie down, and actually you can stay on the pressure mat, because obviously it's another opportunity to use it really. Bend your knees, put your thumbs at your navel and your fingertips pointing down towards your pubic bone if you're on your tummy. Now I want you to close your pelvic floor muscles, draw up as if you're stopping your mid-flow, and you're going to squeeze and you're going to release. This is known as a fast twitch squeeze. You're squeezing, letting go. So it's squeeze, release. Now as you do that, I should be looking at you and I shouldn't see a thing other than I can see your lying still. I can already see a couple of you starting to squeeze your bottom like you're doing a pelvic tilt. It's not that. We have to learn to isolate. So what we're going to do, I'm going to count you, and in your head I want you to keep counting. And today, those of you who've been coming a bit more regularly, you're going to tell me what number you get up to. So this is how it goes. We squeeze 1, release, 2, release, 3, release, 4, release, 5, release. Keep counting in your head. Now, these are done on the 1 second, so it's 1 second up, 1 second release. As you're doing this, all you may feel internally is a slight twitch at your navel. There should be absolutely no squeezing in your bottom, your back passage. That is another exercise altogether. That is for back passage and prolapse, but I'm not focusing on it this morning. So your fast twitch muscle fibers, keep counting. Remember, it's about this sort of speed as I'm tapping my hands. When your muscles fatigue, it'll start to go like this. It'll go slower and it's barely perceptible, and your muscles are fatigued. So, is anybody still going? Okay. Has anybody stopped? Anna, slowly. What number? 37. 37. George?
40.
40. Marie?
62.
Are you still going?
Yeah.
Yeah. Susan?
42.
42. Okay. Right. Beginners, it's not unusual for people only to be able to feel about 3, 4, 5 before, and you don't even know if you're doing it, to be fair, to start with. Just think of squeezing and releasing. Anybody still going? Anybody got higher? Marie?
I got to about 17 and it was a bit
Dodgy, yeah. 17. Right, okay, so a good pelvic floor will get to 70 or more. I did them the other day by myself and I got to 100, and I'm still going at 100 actually, but by 100 they're starting to go a bit like this. Now you need to be able to do 30 of those a day minimum. you can just have a rest and try a few more. So it's a squeeze, release, squeeze, let go. These are the muscles which stop us wetting ourselves when we jump, cough or sneeze, okay? So that's your fast twitch muscle fibres. Slow twitch muscle fibres are much more difficult. So minimum amount every day, ladies, and you can just stand, you could be putting your kettle on, you could be waiting in a post office queue or something, and you can do those fairly quickly. Within a short period, I'd say a month if less, if you're practicing daily, you'll all be able to do 30 straight off, and it should be 30 minimum every day of our lives, okay? No matter, you know, what age you are, but particularly post-antenatally, premenopausal, perimenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal. Particularly when we've gone through the menopause, if you've not already had any issues, ladies, you'll be doing very well if you don't get them, because it's our hormones. I have a good pelvic floor, I know I do, but since I've gone through the menopause, I have had more problems. It's just, sadly, it's the way it is. So that's another story as well. That's something for me to talk about another time.
Is it something you can do, because I sit at the desk a lot, is it something I can do on the chair?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, you
That's
can.
the same.
Absolutely. Probably best on a core ball. We teach our pregnant ladies on a core ball.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably, because also you're having to work on your
Yeah,
stability as
okay.
well. Right, slow twitch now. So these are when we squeeze and hold, and we try to get up to the count of 10. So let me talk you into it. Take a deep breath in, exhale, draw your pelvic floor muscles in and up. Your stomach's not going any harder, so you just feel it low down, and you're holding now. So we breathe, hold, 2, 3. At number 3, pull up again. 5, 6, hold at number 6, squeeze and lift again. 7, 8, number 9, squeeze and lift. 10. Now it's most unlikely anybody will get to 10 in one go. It's more likely to be about 2 or 3 for beginners, if that. So you pull up again at number 3, at number 6, and at number 9, because you can only keep maximum contraction for about 3 seconds. Let's have another go. So you're going to, you remember you're trying to pull up, this is now your maximum contraction. Pull up as hard as you can, but without your tummy going hard, without your bottom going hard, and start to count. When you get to number 3, if you do, just squeeze again. When you get to number 6, if you've got that far, squeeze again. Number 9, pull up again. And it's not you're trying to go, you know, up in 10 stages and you're getting higher and higher. It's simply you're trying to maintain what you had at number 3 when you first started. So just keep practicing as I'm explaining. So your slow twitch muscle fibres are the muscle fibres that stop us wetting ourselves when we need to hold on. You know, you can't just go to the toilet, and they stop with urgent incontinence. These take much longer to train, and unless you've got an amazing pelvic floor and you do your pelvic floor exercises religiously every single day of your life, you will not get past 10. So we have to do these in 3 stages during the day. So 3 lots of 10. If you can only do 3 or 4, don't try and do 10 obviously, but each week you'll be able to hopefully do 1 more count each week. Okay, I'm going to leave that there, ladies. We're going to keep coming back to them. It's your responsibility to try and do some at home, please, on a daily basis. Follow the video that I put on our YouTube channel, because I go through it in more depth. And you know, when you've been coming a while, you'll just be able to go straight into your fast twitch. I'll ask you to do your 70 plus. You'll be able to do 1 set of 10, maybe a second set of 10, and then you can go on to some other exercises. There's a lot more for me to teach here, so just bear with us, and you know, there's a lot more information. In fact, I talked about doing a seminar last week. If anybody would like me to do that, then please ask, and we'd probably take at least an hour to do this. Right, let's release. Are you all right with that so far? You all following me? Don't worry again if it's not 100% crystal clear. We'll just keep coming back to it. Now, let's find these power rings, okay? So, when you were doing your pelvic floor, you were learning to isolate. Now, these deep core muscles inside us, these internal muscles, are very subtle muscles. You're now going to work what we call your global muscles, which are your big muscles, your gluteals, your external muscles, to help that process. So we're going to put the bendy disc between our legs, and you're going to squeeze inwards and release slowly, like we did before. Put your feet on the mat, so squeeze inwards, pushing against the powering, and slowly release. We'll do it for about the count of 4. Squeeze in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, release, 2, 3, 4. So you're squeezing inwards for the count of 4, holding and releasing slowly. Now as you do it, no doubt you're all just feeling it on your inner thighs. I'd like you to try and also close the vaginal muscles and draw them in and up at the same time. But you're going to, because you're squeezing your legs, your stomach's going to feel harder, as are your bottom muscles. That's okay for this exercise. But the muscles that you're feeling now, they're called synergist muscles. This means they assist the other muscles. So when we're doing specific pelvic floor, I'm asking you specifically not to squeeze your bottom, your inner thighs. I'm asking you to isolate. But you still need to strengthen the other parts of the body, because, you know, if you have weak glutes or weak legs, you're just not getting support for your whole body, your spine as well. So it's all assists, but it's more specific. The pelvic floor work was asking you to isolate the pelvic floor. Let's do the glutes now. Put your legs on the inside of your ring and have your knees over your hips. Push your back into the mat if you're new, and then slowly squeeze out and release. Now you can't really release for the count of 4, or even go out for the count of 4. So just squeeze, hold it for about the count of 4, and release. So squeeze and release. Now these exercises are really good for strengthening your glutes, very good for your back. And I don't know if you've ever get these magazines. I think we got one in on paper this week, Sunday Times, and these magazines called Easy Life, and you'll see these sometimes advertised, and they're saying specifically for pelvic floor. That's not totally true. They help, but they're not enough. You have to do your specific ones. One of our ladies has just, keep going as I'm talking by the way, has just had pelvic surgery, and for these sorts of issues, and the physio told her, she's still in hospital, you must be doing your pelvic floor exercises. It's no good having prolapse work done, repair work done, and you don't even bother to do your exercises. We have to do them. If you're having any problems with stress incontinence or things like that, speak to me, because I've done the work for myself, and also I've worked with specialist physios, and I've spoken to, I saw a specialist gynae urinary specialist, asked for referral because I wasn't at all happy with what the doctors were telling me. Just released one of the GPs I saw, because I was having some issues in the pelvic floor, and she said to me, what do you expect at your age? And I nearly walked out, because I was looking at her and I was thinking, she's overweight, poor posture, and I just thought that was such a negative thing. So if you get that sort of response from your GPs, now I'm not criticising our GPs, I think they're wonderful, but they know what they know, don't they? They don't have specialist knowledge, they don't know how special knowledge how to relax your pelvic floor, and that's what we're going to look at now, in fact, ladies. So this is why you're going to use your bolster. So what we're going to do, because you can also, as I was explaining last week, you can have a weak pelvic floor, which gives us back pain, stress incontinence, poor posture, all these issues, prolapse. But you can also have too much tightness in your pelvic floor, and that gives internal pain. Okay, it can do, let's say it can do. And as I was explaining last week, there is a book, and it's called Headache in the Pelvis. Well, let's get you into this position while I explain. Now, those of you who've done restorative yoga with me, I prefer the version with the straps and your head on. You can still use a cushion, but just for time really now, because it will take me another 5 minutes to get everybody in the straps. I'd like you to lie like this on the bolster. By all means use a neck cushion if you're not happy with your head, with your soles of your feet together and your knees dropping wide. The shape of the bolster might be a bit uncomfy for some people's back. We'll need to get you a cushion if it is, or you can lie, the other option is to lie on your back. So you've got two choices. You've got three choices actually. You've got the strap version, but I'm not teaching that, with the soles of your feet together and your legs dropping wide. So I'm going to let you choose, try them both, see what you think is better for you. And today we're just going to finish with relaxation. So I want you to close your eyes. Try and get your lower part of your legs onto the bolster. If you've got the bolster, put your bottom on the floor, James. Bottom on the floor. Lie yourself back down, and just as you were. If you've got your legs fully on the bolster, can you see if your knees will drop wide a bit more? Some of you have got really quite high legs, which is a sign that your pelvic region is tight. So for yourselves, we use things like bolsters. Close your eyes, please, everybody. I just want you to relax and breathe into it. So now we're looking at the relaxing and the stretching of the muscles. This is a restorative yoga pose. The restorative yoga pose, those of you who know it, is better with your strap. You know, you put the strap around your waist, but we won't do that today. So what can happen if we are chronically tight in our pelvic floor, our pelvic area? You can develop a chronic condition which is often undiagnosed by the medical profession, and there is a great big fat book about it. You can get it from the library, I can't remember who it's by, called Headache in the Pelvis, and this applies to people who have a holding tension in the pelvic region. So the idea would be the same as if you were getting migraines, you know, you hold a lot of tension. So it's really important to work with both toning the pelvic floor but also relaxing the muscles. And I wouldn't normally try and I would do it on a seminar. I was doing a seminar on the whole pelvic area. I would put this in and I'd spend quite a lot longer on this aspect of relaxation. However, many of you will know I teach these things on Thursday in restorative yoga. So again, if you weren't here last week, one of our students, I've had two students referred to me for pelvic pain, this undiagnosed pelvic pain. The information is that you need to do your pelvic floor exercises, you need to do Pilates, but you also need to relax your muscles. So these hip openers, as we call them, held for a little while, are really, really beneficial. And just learning to relax is very important part of the work we do. Now, the other thing I have to say, pelvic pain can come on through to hormonal issues. If you're getting like a dragging down feeling in your pelvic floor or your back passage, it might be a hormonal thing, in which case speak to your doctor. You might, they might want to prescribe some very mild HRT. There's other natural things we can do for that as well. But again, I can't really give you any more information because we're already over time now. So don't worry, we'll keep exploring this. We'll keep making sure you understand how to do your pelvic floor. But now, please, ladies, we are going to have to get out of that. So very slowly, without opening your eyes, can you sit back up, please? And I'd like you to just sit cross-legged. Because another thing many of us find really tricky is sitting cross-legged. As Westerners, we don't sit on the floor. We tend to sit on chairs. At the very least, if you must sit on a chair, have a stability cushion, or preferably sit on a ball. And if you can sit on the floor, choose to sit on the floor. Ultimately, it's going to help you. It might feel very awkward and uncomfy to start with, but we need to have a strong core to sit upright. We need to have good posture. And it's also, of course, stretching all the muscles around your pelvis. And, it just becomes, in time, it becomes a preferred position because you feel better. And anybody's travelled long haul with me, you'll see me sitting on, oh Susan, I don't know if you're sitting here, you'll see me if I can, you'll see me sitting on my airplane seat cross-legged. I usually have something behind my back because it's really hard on an airplane seat to sit upright because they're obviously not designed for that. Because I feel so much better. If I sit for a long period in a normal position that you do when you drive, I just notice it so much in my back, my hips. Whereas if you sit like this, all these muscles are being stretched. So a very good tip is to sit more often on the floor. Bring your hands together, rub your hands till you feel warm. Calm your eyes and take a moment to, again, just observe how you feel. Let what you've learned just sink in. There's a lot of information. Don't be at all concerned if you're not taking it fully on board as yet. Because for me, the most important thing, is the very most important thing that I can teach you today is to be calm and peaceful and breathe. And everything else will start to naturally occur if you're practicing your exercises. I guarantee it. If your mind's anxious, you're busy, you're worried, constantly anxious, everything clenches, and then we wonder why we have so many pain issues. There's more to it than that, of course, you know that. But the single most important thing I can teach you is to be calm. Thank you for your presence today. Namaste. Namaste. Ladies, did that make sense